This is K1DBC. The DRC Learning Net will start in 1 minute. All stations, please stand by. Hello all, this is Daron. Excuse me, this is Daron, K1DBC. I would like, if I can get a signal report. I'm using a different radio setup tonight, but just wanted to check to see how my signal is coming through.
5x9 here in Old Town Arvada, Daron. This is Ed, AE0AR.
Excellent, thank you, Ed Reed, and same back to you as well. So, hey, I got you checked in, and it sounds like we'll touch back on your radio here in a bit, but thank you for the report there. I can delve into why I'm using a different radio a little bit later on in the net, but thank you all for joining us here on the 10th of July for the Denver Radio Club Learning Net. Great place to learn about ham radio STEM topics, and thankfully we have plenty of combined experience and expertise. This is Kilo 1 Delta Bravo Charlie K1DBC. My name is Daron, and I'm this evening's net control. I was battling with some radio issues earlier, so I didn't get to what we were talking about last week, but tonight we'll be taking your check-ins, comments, questions, updates, and more. We meet every Wednesday except the third Wednesday of the month, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time on 145.490 and 448.625. Both have a negative offset. You can contact us at Elmer at w0tx.org and most social media at Denver Radio Club. We also stream and archive our nets on youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. So if you'd like to see behind the scenes of the net or visual context, that is an additional way to participate in the net. This net can be broken at any time for emergency or priority traffic by using the word break. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Thankfully, we've never had an emergency or anyone chiming in, but if there ever is, please don't hesitate to do so. All check-ins to the net will be taken in alphabetical groups based on the first letter of the suffix of the operator's call sign. The suffix is the letter after the number in the call sign. If you can, please try to use ITU phonetics for the call and indicate if you have traffic or questions as you check in. Still haven't figured it out this week yet, but if you'd like to follow along with check-ins, read-only, it's not self-check-ins just yet, but w0tx.org/check-in. You can see who's checked in.
W0TX repeater.
With that, if your call suffix begins with the letters A through M, Alpha through Mike, please check in now. Hey, good evening, Andy.
November 0, Mike Tango Lima, Micah in Thornton. Kilo Echo 0 Alpha Bravo, Cannon Lakewood, no traffic.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Hold up there for just a moment. Net Control would like to welcome and acknowledge the following check-ins. We got Ed checked in earlier, AE0IR, N0MTL Micah, KE0 Alpha Bravo Ken, and we had Andy online, 2E0REE. Thank you all so much for checking in here. All right, once more, if your call suffix begins with the letters A through M, Alpha through Mike, and you'd like to check in, please let us know your call sign, your name, and again, if you have any traffic or questions, please call now.
Kilo Echo. Kilo Foxtrot 0, Foxtrot Papa India, Ron in Lakewood, no traffic.
November 0, Yankee Bravo, West Pleasant View. No traffic. Thornton.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. All right, I do apologize. I was trying to multitask there and got lost a little bit on the call signs. We had KF0 FPI Ron, and then I thought we also had a Kilo Echo 0 call and a November 0 call as well. The November 0 call, can you try once more? That was a little bit too quick. Try once more, November 0.
November 0, Yankee Bravo. November 0, Yankee Bravo, West Pleasant View, no traffic, over.
All right, gotcha that time. November 0, Yankee Bravo. Thank you so much for checking in. And then there was also someone trying to check in, Kilo Echo 0, I believe. If you want to try once more, go ahead. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. I'd like to, we'll take all check-ins now, all call signs, all call suffixes if you'd like to check into the Denver Radio Club Learning Net, just for the count, or if you have any traffic or questions. Let us know your call sign, your name, and again, if you have any traffic or questions, please call now.
November 0, Tango Romeo Papa Jim in Lakewood. Good evening.
Kilo Foxtrot 0, Quebec Victor Mike, Paul in Aurora. Good evening.
Alpha Echo 0, Romeo Kilo, Fred in Denver, no traffic.
Kilo Echo 0,
Kilo
Sierra
Foxtrot
Uniform
0,
Mike, Jonathan,
Nevada,
Lakewood.
Papa Sierra, Paul and Littleton, no traffic.
Pretty sure I stepped on Paul. KE0 SUM, Jonathan, Lakewood.
No problem, Jonathan. I may have been late on the keying. Kilo Foxtrot 0, different Paul, Nevada, Papa Sierra. You figured it out, Doron. Thank you. Paul and Littleton, no traffic.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Hold up there for just a moment. All right, I'd like to welcome and acknowledge the following check-ins. I believe if there's any call sign corrections needed, please let me know. But I think we had N0TRP Jim, KF0QVM Paul, AE0RK Fred, KE0SUM Jonathan, KF0NPS Paul, and Charles WD0CIV. Not sure if it's from my end, but a little scratchy on the signal there, Charles, but got you checked in. So this is K1DBC Net Control. Anyone else? We're taking all call signs, all call suffixes. Let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have any traffic questions or if there's any call sign corrections needed, please call now.
Kilo Bravo 3, Victor Charlie Uniform, Robin Thornton.
Kilo 5, Alpha Fox Oscar, Ben, Aurora, no traffic at this time.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I'd like to welcome and acknowledge the following check-ins: KB3, VCU Rob, and K5AFO Ben. Thank you all so much for checking in here. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. All right, one more time. We are taking, let's see, we had a someone online, Techman, asking for licensed only. No, if you're not licensed, you're more than welcome to check in. I'll get you checked in. If you want to provide a name or anything, I'll get you checked in. Over the air, though, it's licensed only. But if you'd like to check in over the air, we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes. Let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have any traffic or questions, please call now.
KF0QQV, Dave checking in.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control.
W0TX repeater.
All right, David, got you checked in. I also see you online there. Really do appreciate that. David, KF0QQV, got you checked in. This is K1DBC Net Control. We have another 45 minutes or so. We haven't really gotten into the net yet, but I don't see anybody indicate they had any traffic or questions. I certainly can bring up some traffic or questions. I have my own radio issues I've been dealing with over the last week. Ed Reed, AE0YR, may have gotten his resolved. So if anybody has anything or if anybody wants to jump in, let us know. But we'll take call check-ins throughout the net. But with that, I'll throw it out to the group. If anybody wants to talk about recent projects or anything that they're working on, please call now.
AE0YR.
Yeah, AE0YR. Ed, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. I've got my Yaesu 991 Alpha back from its second trip to Yaesu, this time down to Southern California. On Saturday. It seems to work. At first, Yaesu just told me, we repaired it, it's coming back. And then I said, well, now, wait a minute. Do you know what was wrong? And whoever I was talking to just copied the technician's notes, and I'll read them to you. The technician repaired V/U unit final transistors, firmware update, and alignment done. I won't go back to the whole story unless we want to, but this is the end of a 4+ month saga. I think I have my radio back. I think it works.
A question.
Excellent. Glad to hear. Yeah, definitely a saga, indeed. But glad to hear that it is working. Yeah, you're coming in 5.9. Very good. So we had a question in there. SUM, Jonathan, go ahead.
I'm I'm sorry, Ron, did I get distracted? Is it my turn? SUM.
Yeah, SUM Jonathan. Please go ahead.
Yeah, no, I don't know your backstory, and I'm keenly interested. Yaesu generally has a pretty reliable product, so 991A is pretty good too. So you had like 2 issues, and they finally took care of you. Would you mind explaining what issues you had?
Well, my issues will have to be over happy hour, but I'll try and give you a 1-minute rundown of what happened. I finally bought this new base station transceiver at the beginning of March. I immediately started getting poor signal reports. Everybody told me it wasn't working. And after about 3 weeks of working on this net and whoever I could get with, putting on ferrite beads, building out a station ground, replacing cables, checking connections, I finally took it down to HRO and Mike put it on the bench. Let me drop for a second. And he told me there's no power out, you need to send it back to Yaesu, which I did. It spent the entire month of April with Yaesu. I finally got a call from a technician, Roger, at the end of April, beginning of May, told me, hey, we've got your radio here, it works fine, there's nothing wrong with it. He sent it back to the drawing board, 2-3 more weeks with this net. Immediate bad signal reports, couldn't get it figured out. Art Bullock finally came over to my house. He put the meter on. He told me there's no power out. So we got Yaesu on the phone with Art in my house. Yaesu ran us through a bunch of diagnostics, came to the same conclusion, it's not working. Told me they'd send me a FedEx shipping label. A week went by, I did not get it. Called back Roger. He couldn't remember speaking with me. Went through more diagnostics, came to the same conclusion, it's not working. Finally did send me a FedEx shipping label, sent it back to Yaesu, second trip back. This time they sent me an email saying, hey, we fixed it, it's coming back. I said, well, now, wait a minute, what was wrong with it? And they said, the finals were blown, we fixed them, got it back, now I'm on the air. Whatever that is, 14 weeks of journey there.
Well, that's a royal pain in the ass. I'm glad you got it back and fixed, but I wonder what blew the finals. That's just not a real common experience. KE0SUM, back to you, Jerome.
All right, this is Daron, K1 DBC Net Control. All right, very quickly, we had a check-in online, KF0PCW, Doug checking in. I really do appreciate that. And Ben, it sounds like his receive is too scratchy for to listen to this evening. So good to hear you in there, Ben, as well. And yes, absolutely, Ed. Glad to hear it's finally resolved. I think you talked about blown finals to begin with, and that's what it sounds like it turned out to be, unfortunately, as well. So yeah, an unfortunate saga of not great support. I don't think, in my opinion, at least. So, but glad to hear it's back, and yeah, we'll see how things go working forward. So yeah, if you want to start taking net control operations at any given point, please don't hesitate to let us know, and we can help you through that.
Well, and in response to Jonathan, I do not know what caused the finals blow. If I did it, something I did wrong when I first got the radio. I have heard that that's a common issue with these 991s. Some people have that happen. I do not. I surfed and I could not figure out why that happened or why I was so lucky. I could never figure that out.
Well, there is a known issue if you use the 991A with it's like a Samlex 123 power supply. Oh, you can't use them together. It'll blow up your 991A, but I'm guessing you didn't have that power supply, or that somebody would have asked you about it.
I bought it at the same time at HRO there at your place on Centennial. It's an Alinco DM530, which whoever was working with me that day said, oh yeah, that'll work fine. So I haven't heard that there's any disconnect between the radio and that power source.
No, the Alinco would work fine.
FPI.
All right, this is Daron, K1 DBC Net Control.
No,
We had a question for you there in the chat here as well, but FPI first. KF0 FPI, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. If this was a station that had the hum, the noise, earlier, and he was having problems and had it sent back, and he finally got it back. He sounds awesome tonight. I was wondering if this was the same station, same call.
Yes, this is AE0YR in Old Town, Arvada. I've been talking about this on this net for 3+ months now. So you cannot believe how happy I am that I'm getting clear signal reports from you all. This is just amazing. I have a radio that works. That's amazing.
No, you sound great. I've had a 991 Alpha for 3 years, and I run it on Samlex SEC 1235 Michael, and I've never had a problem. I got everything works great with this radio, and I didn't realize if you had blown finals that you could put out any signal at all.
That's outside my knowledge base. However, so the one interesting thing is Mike at HRO was the first one to notice no power out. Then it went back to Yaesu. They told me it was fine. Then it came back to my house. Art said there's no power out. Obviously, those three things can't happen in a row. Something in there was wrong. Then eventually Yaesu said, yeah, sure enough, no power out. So clearly one of those steps, you can't have it not working and then working and then not working if nothing happened in between. So something went sideways in there somewhere.
W0TX repeater.
Was it reading any meter? Was the meter swinging on RF power when you tried to transmit?
It's weird. In the beginning, people could hear me, but I got bad signal reports. So, 3 weeks later, I went into HRO. Mike put it on the bench, no power out. I watched it, and at that time, I had no idea what test he was doing. But I watched the needle go nowhere, so no power out. Then I watched the same test 2 months later when Art Bullock was here in my house, and he did it, and my light bulb started to go on. I started to realize, oh, okay, I can see what this test is. But in between there, people could tell me they could hear me, or even once in a while, people could tell me they could hear me reasonably well. So how does that happen inside a radio? I don't know how that happens.
Comment, SUM.
Excellent. Thanks there, CIV, for the question there, and Ed, A0YR, for the follow-up. I think there may have been someone else there was a double in there, or somebody else trying to get in there, but we also had SUM, Jonathan. I'll get to here in a second. If someone else was trying to get in there, please call now. All right, nothing heard. This is K1 DBC Net Control, KE0SUM. Jonathan, the net is yours.
And I got a quick question for you. How long had you owned the radio before you experienced these problems?
I brought it home first day they started. Brought it home from HRO. Actually, I just happened to be in the neighborhood down there, so I went in and bought it because I knew I was near the store. Brought it home, hooked it up. The radio at that time was way over my head. Much of it is still way over my head. I never owned a radio like this before. So you can imagine somebody in the boat I was in, I didn't know exactly what I was doing, so it took me a little bit of a learning curve to realize something doesn't seem right here. But it was pretty quick. It was right away.
Well, I asked that because, I was a field copier technician for years, been in electronics a long time. And from my experience, if electronics are going to break, they do it right away. And that's what yours did. I think HRO did you a disservice by not exchanging it, but it's just my opinion. But yeah, electronics break right away or they last a long time.
let me just address that real quick because Mike did bring that up, and since it took me 3 weeks to get back, since I obviously thought I was doing something wrong, I didn't know how the radio worked completely. He told me if I had been back within the first week, he could have switched the radio for me. But since I went past the first week, it became me and Yezu at that point on. I don't remember why that is, but he did mention that.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, absolutely. Great follow-up there, SUM. I've had an electronic part in my vehicle that just ceased to operate one day, and that was it, and I just had to go get it fixed. So electronics either work or they don't. It's very rare that they work in between, but very quickly on these blowing the finals here, I can bring up some very quick information on that. An PDF article by NOJI, the Utah Valley Amateur Radio Club, their website, noji.com. How to protect your finals. Every once in a while, you might hear someone who has blown their finals. What they're referring to is something that's happened inside their radio. It means that somehow the transceiver's output circuitry has been damaged to the point of rendering the transmitter section inoperable. To continue just a little bit more here, every transceiver contains an Sorry, the push to talk button on this radio is a little bit, takes a little bit of pushing to do. So sorry about that. Every transceiver contains an output circuit with a power amplifier and a set of filters, the last stage in a signal's journey before being sent out to an antenna. The heart of the power amplifier is one or more transistors we call the final amplifier transistors, or simply finals, whose job is to amplify the signal level to that of the transmitter's current power level setting. If they become damaged beyond use, that is to say that the finals are blown. So very quick cursory search on that. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. I'll throw it out to the group. Anyone else on that? Comments, questions, anything else? There was a question for you, Ed, by Ben. K5AFO of asking about if you got an HF antenna set up yet. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. I'll throw it out to Ed Reed, AE0YR, if you've got a HF antenna set up just yet.
Not yet. This was part of a broader build out of my shack. The first thing was get a radio that was capable of doing that, and then using these fair weather months to get a wire up, which it's designed in my head, but it's not up yet. That's next.
All right, sounds good. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Absolutely, you got the basics resolved, and then you can work on the rest. So, excellent. So yeah, glad to hear that, and get on the air, and you have no excuses now. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. Anyone else on that? It is about 3 minutes till 8 p.m. We'll take check-ins here in just a minute. But anyone else, comments, questions, check-ins, or anything else at the moment? Please call now.
Kilo Romeo 0 Tango Echo Alpha. Wanting to check in with you? My name's Terry.
TEA. Terry, got you checked in. Thank you so much for checking into the net here.
Alpha Bravo question.
All right, we had Kilo Echo Zero Alpha Bravo Ken with a question. We'll get that back to you here in just a minute. I'll just take this opportunity to take check-ins specifically. If you're just tuning in, this is the Denver Radio Club Learning It, great place to learn about ham radio, STEM topics in general. So if you'd like to check in, we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes. Let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have any traffic or questions, please call now.
K0 GPA, Bob, in Lakewood, no traffic.
All right, and that time we had K0 GPA. Bob, thank you so much for checking in here. One more time, we'll take official check-ins. If you'd like to check in just for the count, or if you have any comments or questions, let us know your call sign, your name, And again, if you have any traffic or questions, please call now. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Nothing heard at the moment. Again, just a reminder, youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. We live stream most of our nets and a good portion of our nets and our meetings, so check that out if you like. w0tx.org/check-in to follow along with who's checked into this net and past nets. It's a tool that we as net control operators have a chance to use for this net and other nets. If you'd like to use this for your own personal use or your other nets, you can sign into Google and make a copy of it. But if you're a part of our club and want to use it for our net control operations, we can get you added to that. So with that, this is K1 DBC Net Control. I'll throw it over to Ken. Kilo Echo Zero Alpha Bravo. The net is yours.
Yeah, this is a question for Ed. Ed, when you was having problems with your radio, with the power outage, did you try to set the processors in it just out of curiosity?
W0TX repeater.
Well, and I'll show my level of understanding. When you say set the processors, I'm not sure what that means. I did do a several series of factory resets on it as part of the whole diagnostic procedure. Beyond that, I'm not sure what you meant by that question. Yeah, that's it. You reset everything back to the way everything is when it comes from the factory. You set the processors back up and everything like that, and it didn't help. Apparently, is kind of what I'm getting from your answer there. Yeah, it seemed like whatever happened, as Jonathan was suggesting, happened immediately, and then I just had bad luck all the way along the way. The biggest step was that first trip back to Yazoo, where it spent the entire month of April in their shop. It just doesn't make sense how they came to the conclusion that there was nothing wrong with the radio, because HRO had already concluded there was no power out, and then later on, ARC concluded there was no power out. So how could you have no power out with sandwiched in between their power out? It's a head scratcher. Yeah, no, I understand. Totally understand, because I had a problem. I just bought one of the new FTDX10s, and I set it up, and I put a monitor on it with the DVI cable to a older model screen, old computer screen, and everything worked wonderful. But then when I tried to transmit on it, it wouldn't transmit whatsoever. It wouldn't. The meters wouldn't show transmit. There was no power coming out of the rig itself. So I was kind of freaking out there. And what I did is I went back in there and I set everything back up the way it had come from Yaesu and set the processors, and then the power come back up, and I haven't had any problems with it since. But that's why I asked the question, because I was wondering maybe that would have done it if you didn't do it. But it sounds like you went through all the things that you needed to do. So thank you, Ed. This is Kilo Echo Alpha Bravo. Back to net.
All right, sounds good there. Appreciate the question and the follow-up there. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know Ed's been talking about this for several months and has tried quite a lot of stuff. And unfortunately, with some of this stuff, it just takes time with this sort of hobby, getting this equipment fixed, unfortunately. So, but glad to hear it's finally back up and running, and fingers crossed. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. Anyone else on that? Comments, questions, check-ins? Anything else so far for this evening's Learning Net? Please call now. This is K1 DBC Net Control. I guess in a similar vein, I'm starting on my own journey with something like this. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Let me drop for a moment. For several years, I've used a Yaesu FT857D. 857D I purchased from a Denver Radio Club member about 6 years ago. And I used it last week for the Learning Net. And then I was trying to use it for the Sunday Night Net. And it doesn't turn on anymore. So it makes a couple of clicks. I think a couple of relays click, but no power on the screen. Let me drop for a moment. I've tried different power source. I've tried my car battery on it. And now my bench power supply as well. And again, very similar question there recently of resetting certain things. I tried to go through certain reset processes. So I have replaced and checked the 25 amp inline fuses. I've unplugged everything. At some points, the fans on the radio do come on, and the push-to-talk handheld mic will show a light on it, but nothing ever comes up. So quite disappointing to see. I'm following up with Yaesu and seeing what their process is, but sorry, this push-to-talk button, quite a lot of the resistance needed on this one. So, yep, about $90 per hour. And shipping fee to get it checked out from Yaesu since it's out of warranty. So I don't know if anybody has any expertise. I haven't cracked it open just yet to see any internals. I really do not have the real knowledge to do that. So I'll leave that to someone else. But unfortunate. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But I am using a separate radio this evening, and that is why that is. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. I'll throw it out to the group. Anyone comments, questions, suggestions, anything else? Go right ahead.
What year did you get the 857D drone?
It was just around the time I think I joined this club, probably 2016, 17, 18, used from another member though, so no warranty, but yeah, 2016, 17 or so.
So you got pretty good life out of it, because from the descriptions you're saying, how much do you want to spend to fix an 857D when there's newer technology with, bigger screens? Granted, that's definitely a shack in the box, but where do you change? Where do you draw the line and just change?
Yeah, that's a great question, and for me, I really don't use HF very much. So it was financially easy for me to get into that 6-7 years ago, but as we all know, the prices have changed for some of these transceivers. Right now, I'm using a radio that I've mentioned in the past, a Retevis RT99, VHF, UHF only, 35, 45, 50 watts or whatever it is. So this works quite well for running a net. I'm willing to spend maybe a couple $100. It's a fine line, unfortunately. So yeah, as you mentioned, there's a lot more newer technology and a lot better things out there, and yeah, it's just unfortunate what happened. So I'll have to see and weigh those options up. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. Anyone else on that? Go ahead.
Comment, Dave, QQV. Which transistors did they say replace? I found the schematics for the 991A, and I figured I'd take a look and see where it actually was in the final.
Yeah, absolutely, QQV. Thank you so much for the follow-up on that. Yeah, I've done some very basic through-hole soldering and troubleshooting. Haven't really done any surface mount, but I know my way around a multimeter a little bit, and a little bit of a soldering, desoldering. So I haven't even opened the unit up, so I may open it up and hopefully we'll find something easily burnt out and understand how to replace it. So I do appreciate that. Yeah, it is a hobby experimentation, so I shouldn't just give up immediately, in a day and age of throwing money at things to get it fixed. So I'll see what I can do, because yeah, I have another radio in the meantime. It's not like I need it, so I appreciate that, QQV. I'll maybe try to go down that route as well, at least just to troubleshoot and diagnose it.
And that was actually a question for A0YR. Which devices did Yaesu say they replaced on the final board?
I'm just pulling that email back up here.
Oh, my apologies. Thank you.
Okay, so it looks like whoever, Tim Factor is the guy's name, he emailed me. It looks like he just copied and pasted the technician's notes. Yes, the technician repaired V/U unit, parentheses, final transistors, comma, firmware update and alignment done. That's all they gave me. It's just a short phrase. It looks like it's just technician notes.
Okay, yeah, I'll just look and see. Was it just on VHF or VHF and UHF?
W.
I'm only on VHF, UHF. I know that when Art was in my house, he put a dummy load on and we tested HF and the same thing happened. I think they did that in the shop as well.
It looks like HF uses a separate final amp, so that would be two separate failures.
All right, sounds good. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Sorry for the confusion there. Thanks for the follow-up there, Ed, AE0YR, and a great question there, QQV, about what specifically failed there. So anyone else on that? We have another 20 or so minutes. Any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else so far? Go right ahead.
I have a couple more thoughts, Jerome. Okay, SUM.
Absolutely, Jonathan. SUM. Go right ahead.
Well, the second question is for all the people who are a lot brighter than me on this net, older and more experienced ham radio operators. But I would like to say hello to KF0QVM, Paul. I don't know that I've heard him before. I think he's pretty new. So welcome to the group, and I'd like to hear if, maybe his story. KE0SUM, back to net.
This is KF0QVM. Sorry, I forgot your call sign, but thanks for the welcome. Can you elaborate on what you mean by my story?
Oh, generally it's like, why did you decide to become a ham radio operator, and are you currently using a Baofeng UV5R? Just interesting tidbits. Oh, and let's see, it says here you're in Aurora. Your signal's loud, clear, sounds very nice.
Yeah, sure. I appreciate the signal report. Right now I'm talking to you guys on a Yaesu FT60 handheld. The other radio that I have is in my car, and it's a Yaesu FTM 300. Other than that, the only other radio I have is a GMRS radio, a BTEC GMRS V2, and that was actually what got me into radio, was GMRS for off-road communications. And then I'm a tinkerer, so of course as soon as I learned that I could go deeper into the hobby of radios, I discovered ham, got my ticket, and have been scouring the internet trying to learn as much as I can. So yeah, that's how I got into it. I've been licensed for maybe a little more than a month now at this point. Yeah, KF0QVM. If there's anything else you'd like to know, let me know.
Well, hey, Paul, congratulations on the ticket. You have a good radio voice. I have a good radio voice. It's much better than my TV face. But, yeah, and I think you have an ideal selection of radios to go with. So, welcome to the hobby. I know you'll go a long ways with it. KE0SUM. The name here is Jonathan. Back to net.
Excellent. Sounds good. It's always great to have an introduction there. So I do appreciate that, Paul. Yeah, we did meet at the field day. So glad to see you out there, and glad to hear you checking on the nets here. And thank you SUM for doing that. Really do appreciate it. So yeah, all walks of life, a lot of opportunities, a lot of potential to this hobby, and a lifetime of adventures. So. If anybody ever has any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to do so. We are a welcoming community, and we'd love to hear your stories and your radio problems and conundrums. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. We have another 15 minutes, 15 minutes. Comments, questions, check-ins. Please call now.
Jerome, I did have another antenna question to throw out, if that's okay. SUM.
Yeah, not a problem. Let me see if there's anyone else have any comments or questions at the moment. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins, anything else at the moment? And then we'll throw it back to Jonathan. Anyone else? Go right ahead. All right, nothing heard at the moment. KE0SUM, Jonathan with an antenna question. Go ahead.
Well, I've thrown this out maybe a couple of years ago, Jerome, but I come back to it because it fascinates me. And there's a lot of really experienced people listening right now, and not all of them even checked in, but has anybody done NVIS, near vertical incidence skywave? I've seen it done with just kind of a drooping dipole, and I've also looked, and apparently the other way is to do it's sort of in a triangular pattern. You hook up and you have two of certain length and two of another length. But I'm just always fascinated. I'd like to try it sometime. I just wondered if anybody here had done anything with NVIS.
Great question. NVIS antenna, near vertical indices, something or other there. I don't know at the moment. But NVIS propagation, great question. Yeah, we have definitely talked about it. Yeah, near vertical indices skywave propagation mode, which uses high angle radiation to send signals almost straight up to be reflected back to the Earth for very effective short to medium distance communications. We've talked about it very briefly in the past, but I have not done too much of it personally. But I'll throw it at the group. NVIS antennas. Usage or experience, go ahead.
Come on, guys. You all have the ARRL antenna book, right?
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, there is a lot out there, and maybe just we haven't tried it all, unfortunately. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. Again, anyone else on NVIS experience antennas or any working operations you've done with NVIS? Go right ahead. This is K1 DBC Net Control. I'm guessing maybe accidentally we have, maybe with our G5RV antennas, basically used NVIS propagation maybe for shorter hop propagation, maybe accidentally. We may have all done that, but intentionally, yeah, I'm not too sure. But anyone else on NVIS or Jonathan SUM, go right ahead. All right, sorry about that, Jonathan. I guess not too much this evening on that. But if you have anything else, otherwise we had a couple questions from the online chat here. But Jonathan SUM, go right ahead.
Oh, I have to throw it out every year or so, Jerome. Somebody might have done it, and I've been studying enough. Obviously, I'm going to try to do this. I I just haven't decided which antenna system to use, because there's a two-leg system and then there's a four-leg system. Both are elevated slightly in the middle, and then they droop down and come up at the ends. And the military one's more interesting, but I don't know who makes them. I haven't researched that yet. But HRO actually sells an his antenna setup, but I think it's by Skywave, but I haven't checked that out. So, yeah, I've always been interested in antennas, so one more project.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for mentioning the military vehicles. Yeah, I do remember you bringing this up before, and yeah, there's iconic images of Humvees and whatnot with kind of bent over antennas. We may think they're bent over like that for storage purposes, but it's used for Skywave NVIS propagation. So yeah, that is a really interesting thing there. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if there's a consumer option available as well. This is a K1 DBC net control. All right, sounds good. This is K1 DBC Net Control. We had a couple of questions in here from the chat. Let me drop here for a moment. Ben K5AFO asked a couple questions here. One was asking if anyone on the net used 6 meters. They're on FT8 now, and there seems to be a lift. So they just worked Vancouver while receiving on the net here. So if you have a 6 meters and FT8, you can work up into Canada, it looks like. And then he also is asking about experience using a log antenna, loop antenna, ground antenna. Let me drop for a moment. He's just looking for online info as a possible way to give them lower noise receive on HF for log ground loop on the ground antenna. If anybody has any comments on that, go right ahead. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Sorry if I've dropped that once or twice. The weight of this push-to-talk button, I have not used it a lot, so it takes a little bit of pressure to push it. Once more, if anybody's working FT 6 meters, they're wondering, I guess there's an opportunity to work Vancouver, and then asking about a log antenna, loop on the ground antenna, looking for possible ways to give them a lower noise receive level on HF. Anybody else on that? We have another 10 or so minutes. Anyone else on that, or any other comments or questions or check-ins or anything? Please call now. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Again, 8 or so minutes. Any other further comments, questions, check-ins? I can certainly bring up a couple things and throw it back to the net, but anyone else, please call now.
This is KF0QVM. I've got a couple new topics to bring up if everyone's ready to move on.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. Not a problem. And just keep in mind, we don't have a hard stop to this, but we usually end around 8:30. But we could certainly jump into some things and bring it up the next time or so. But QVM, Paul, yeah, go right ahead, please.
All right. Well, I'll try to keep it not too long-winded. But my first question is, as a new ham, I've pretty much only used VHF and UHF. And I am curious if anyone has suggestions for ways to get into HF that will not kill my wallet.
Yeah, great question there. How do we not break an arm and a leg with purchasing equipment out there on the HF side? Great question there. Some options are QRP, 5 watt and below options. You can find some QRP rigs which I think mostly maybe do some digital or CW, but might also do some sideband. Those are usually a few $100s or so, but again, only 5 watts or so. And then you might have to buy a radio as standalone for HF bands only. HF bands only probably will run you $600, $700, $800. But those are my 2 options and opinions there. But I'll throw it out to the group. Good entry-level options into HF, budget-level entry options. Anybody on that? Go right ahead.
Comment.
Yeah, we had a comment in there. Go right ahead.
Yeah, copy. This is Kilo Foxtrot 0 Oscar Delta Uniform, KF0 ODU. I was just out here listening. Check out getting a CB radio with a single sideband function on it. You can get one for about $150 and a little $40 or $50 antenna for your car, and you can work single sideband on 11 meters and get a taste for it for around $200. Thanks for letting me comment. KF0 ODU.
This is KF0QVM. Thanks so much for the advice. Do you have any specific radio that you had in mind?
Yeah, copy. KF0 ODU here. I've had a lot of success with the Uniden Bearcat 980 SSB. I think that's about a $150 radio. That's the Bearcat 980 SSB. Very easy to program, and I've gotten from here at my QTEH in Evergreen, I've been able to contact Jamaica, Prince Edward Island. I can easily get into California, New Mexico, all over the place with it. I can hear New Zealand, I can hear Australia, and it gives you a way to understand how HF conditions will affect your single sideband mode. So I really recommend that radio, that Uniden 980 SSB radio. President makes another variation of it too.
Awesome. Thank you very much for the info. I just pulled it up here, and I'll be doing some research on that later tonight. Thank you. KF0QVM, back to net.
A comment, SUM.
Excellent. Thanks for the follow-up there, KF0DU. Benjamin, I think it's maybe the first time you checked in here. Glad to hear you in there and helping things out. Really do appreciate that. And yeah, the CB options are pretty good for some single sideband stuff. So great to hear on that, on the option that you mentioned there, the Bearcat 980 SSB. And then we also had a SUM Jonathan with a question. Go ahead.
I had more of a comment for a good HF radio under $1,000. You got like 3 different options. You've got 2 iGoose. The one's the G90, does 6 meters through 160. That requires an external battery. Then you've got the X6100 internal battery, 5 watts. Oh, the G90 does up to 20 watts. And then you've got, interesting, you've got the Yaesu FT891. It's a full 100-watt radio for roughly $700. So you have a lot of ways to go there.
Yeah, absolutely. Great suggestion on the FT891. Looks like you can get it from DX Engineering. Let me drop for a moment. Yeah, less than $700 normally, $680 normally, and on sale now for $630. So again, this is not all bands, all modes, but it is HF 50 megahertz, all modes for HF bands. So yeah, not always one shack in a box, but great options out there, even from some of the larger labels. So yeah, FT891 from Yaesu, 100 watts, all mobile transceiver for HF.
W0TX repeater.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for all of the recommendations. I've got my I've got a list going, and I will be doing some research after this net. KF0QVM, back to net.
Excellent. Sounds good. Yeah, this is a topic close to our hearts. We've talked about this, and through a lot of different measures, through COVID and through inflation, through all sorts of reasons, equipment for us as well is even more expensive than it was 5-10 years ago. So even back then, you could have gotten something with all bands, all modes, but unfortunately not so much these days for sub 1,000. So yeah, great options out there. This is K1 DBC Net Control. It's around 8:29 p.m. Any other last-minute comments, questions, check-ins for this evening's Learning Net? Please call now.
This is KF0QVM again. I do have another topic, but I don't want to hog the airwaves, so if anybody else has one, please chime in, and we'll take yours before mine.
Not a problem. We can continue on here for just a little bit. QVM, go right ahead.
Yeah, this is definitely something I could just Google, but I always prefer to talk to people over the radio rather than just typing stuff in on Google. I heard some people talking the other day on, I forget what repeater, about call signs, and I didn't realize how detailed that can be. They were talking about 1x2 call signs, and they were also talking about how different prefixes are generally from different areas. And I had no idea. I thought it was just a sequence and you got assigned one, and I was wondering if anyone has more information about that they could share.
Well, you definitely got the first part right, but I think it gets even kind of more complicated. Depending on how you apply, you can get a call sign from somebody, your father who died, and oh boy. I'm a KE0SUM, so I'm a 2x2, whereas my friend Bill, AU0E, is a 2x1. So it gets kind of interesting, but you have to kind of study it. But then the more you talk to people, the more you'll feel all these different call signs that are like, because the numbers mean things, and a lot of things are definitely vanity call signs.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was gleaning from listening to these other people's conversations. Do you have any resources that you could suggest to me for where I could learn about all of the different ins and outs of call signs?
Well, I have a dear friend on a different repeater who I could put you in touch with, who knows everything about them, but you might have to listen to Bill for a while.
Well, that's completely fine with me.
Yeah, shoot me an email. I'm on QRZ.
All right, will do. Thanks very much. KF0QVM, back to net.
Bravo.
All right, great question. I really do appreciate the follow-up there. KE0SUM, Jonathan. You can look him up on QRZ, KE0SUM. Thank you so much for the follow-up on that. I can certainly bring up a couple things, but I think there was another follow-up in there. Go right ahead.
Kilo Echo Zero Alpha Bravo. If you go to the back of your technician exam book, it will show you a map of the United States, and it tells you about vanity calls, and it shows you the different states and the numbers, like California 6, and then you have a 7, 5, and a 0, and it's set up like that. So there's a little piece in the back of your technician book that kind of explains it. I'm not in super detail, but it gives you what you need to know to operate. Anyway, this is Kilo Echo Zero Alpha Bravo, back to net.
My problem was I did both technician and general online. I didn't get the book. SUM, back to net.
Yeah, I also did all of my studying online, so I don't have the book. However, it is on my Amazon wish list, so I probably will be getting it at some point soon, and I'm sure I can find a PDF of that page you're talking about online. Thanks so much for the info, KF0QVM, back to net.
Doesn't anybody read books anymore? This is Kilo Echoes Alpha Bravo.
Oh, I still read some really good books, some science fiction, occasionally a novel, and that kind of thing. I love reading. Of course, I'm of the generation that grew up reading.
KF0QVM. Yeah, I also still love reading, but when I'm trying to learn something and get my license on a tight time schedule because I'm impatient, not because I have any real time schedule, I tend to gravitate towards online resources. But yeah, I still read.
What happened to me is that I read forever. My mother was a librarian. My parents, I grew up in the 50s and 60s, so we didn't have all these electronics. So I read constantly. But then what happened is I grew older and was working in the copier industry in Denver for most of my life. But my boss is he was German and very interested in electronics, so his technicians had the best electronics. We had laptops, cell phones, all kinds of things before it was really common, because he really liked technology. So I kind of shifted from doing everything, and I got used to technology, so I'm much more familiar with doing things online compared to let's say 20 years ago. KE0SUM, back to net.
Kilo Echoes Alpha Bravo. When I started this, there wasn't any internet. So it was just in the beginning, so there wasn't any place to look anything up. It was always in books. But anyway, we learn the way we learn. Anyway, this is Kilo Echoes Alpha Bravo. Back to Jerome there.
All right, sounds good there. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Appreciate everyone's comments and questions in here. Yep, lots of different methods for learning. Lots of different, especially nowadays, a lot of different opportunities. So as we've briefly talked about many times, this is a hobby of engineering and experimentation, but use whatever methods you use, what works best for you to learn and study our exams, and you just have to do them once and get them out of the way, and then spend the rest of your time really learning and understanding what this hobby is all about. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. It is 8:37 p.m. Very quickly, this will be the second to last call. Last minute comments, questions, check-ins, anything else, please call now.
K0 GPA. All you got to do is go on Google and just tell it to amateur radio call signs. It brings up a map and tells you everything you want to know about amateur radio call signs. So that's the easiest way to look them up. K0 GPA.
W0TX repeater.
Yeah, I figured probably would be pretty easy to Google, but I love looking for an excuse to pick up the radio and ask some fellow hams, but that's probably what I'll do as soon as this net comes to a close. KF0 QVM.
No problem at all. Yeah, in a world where we can send a link of let me Google that for you, not a worries at all, to be honest. This is what this net is for, is learning and understanding. So, call signs, it's really up to you what you want. You may realize once you start using a certain call sign, it's difficult for people to catch it. But call sign weight is a major thing. That's the shorter the call sign, the easier it is to send on Morse code. apart from that, it's really up to your own personal use of what you'd like to use for your call sign. So yeah, plenty of options, plenty of resources online. AE7Q is a query tool for call sign availability. But yeah, this is K1 DBC Net Control. This will be the final opportunity. Any last minute comments, questions, or check-ins, please call now.
This is KF0QVM yet again. If you would like to close the net and not do this topic because it's a little bit off topic, I suppose. But I was curious what other hobbies hams in Colorado have that they find interact with ham radio quite nicely. For example, for me, I've found that there's a huge overlap between the 4x4 community and the ham radio community, and that has been really cool for me. KF0QVM, back to net.
Yeah, great question. Not a problem. Yeah, we've sometimes gone towards around 9 p.m. So yeah, we can run for a little bit more here. Not a problem. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, what hobbies out there do people use that run in conjunction with ham radio? Yeah, as you mentioned there, by 4x4 community is works quite well in conjunction with this hobby. So maybe geocaching and or hiking and or certain things like that. But anyone else? What other hobbies do you use in conjunction with ham radio or anything else on that? Go right ahead. All right, good question. Yeah, we may discuss that another net as well. But yeah, great topic of discussion because yeah, there's a lot of overlaps with this hobby and a lot of other hobbies. So anyone else on that? Any other last minute comments or questions on that or anything else? Go right ahead. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control.
Bravo.
Yeah, Alpha Bravo, go ahead.
Yes, I've never done it, but I know that, like, for the radio-controlled airplanes and the radio-controlled cars, on 6 meters, there's a spot in there where guys would they would get their ham tickets, and then they could use certain frequencies in the 6-meter band. And if you've ever watched any of those guys out there, they have, this is old school stuff. They have little ribbons on their antennas for their devices that they control everything, controllers. And they have like blue ribbons and yellow ribbons, and those designate a different frequency. But if you see one with a little black flag on it, that would tell you that that's a ham radio operator and that he's working his radio-controlled car or plane or whatever it is in the 6-meter band in the area that it was used for. So that's one of the types of hobbies that the old-timers used to use the ham radio frequencies with. Anyway, this is Kilo Echo Zero Alpha Bravo, back to net.
How were you doing that 6 meters if you're being that close?
I used to be really into everything remote controlled, from boats to cars to airplanes, and now I still have one. It's just a foamy, not a gas powered or anything like that. Foamy Focke-Wulf. I forget what the designator is, but I've been thinking about getting that out again. And I was when I was studying for my technician's license, I read about people using ham radio for controlling all kinds of different craft, and that's something I've been interested in getting into. So anyone with more information about that, I'm very interested to hear.
interesting. Let's throw back to drones. So, ham radio is really interesting. I'm fairly new to it, but normally I associate most ham radio, except for VHF, UHF, as really far distancing. So, yeah, I'm guessing we're talking about controlling things close by because we have VHF or UHF.
Yeah, I have no idea there. I am absolutely not the expert on that. But nearby or for long range, I'm very interested in all of it. KF0QVM.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, appreciate the follow-up on that. Yeah, absolutely. RC vehicle usage, or nowadays we're seeing it with drone usage, D-R-O-N-E, drone usage of, I think maybe using amateur radio bands for basically getting these crafts out further than the normal bands. So maybe to address Jonathan's question there, this is not going to be any far-reaching. This is just to extend the reach of a local vehicle itself, maybe to further than what it's expected, but over different bands. So, yeah, great question, great follow-ups on that. Anyone else on that? Go right ahead.
Alpha Bravo.
Yeah, Alpha Bravo. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm looking in a book right now, and it says from 50.8 to 51.0, remote control at 20 kilohertz channels. So that in between those frequencies there, at the 20 kilohertz, there's spread apart there. You can set up for your remote controls. I don't know much about it, but I have seen guys out there doing it. And if you see a little black flag on one of those control antennas, then you know that it's a ham radio remote control frequency. But anyway, this is Kilo Echo Zero Bravo, back to net.
Is that a black flag that you and one other person mentioned? Is that on the vehicle, or is it on their controllers? Where should I look for that? KF0QVM.
It would be on the controller where you control it, where the guy's holding the control stick or whatever. Like I say, but it on the antenna, the telescopic antenna, there will be a black flag. Now this is the way they used to do it in the old days, but how they do it now, I have no idea. But there will be different colored flags for different frequencies. But if you see a black flag on the telescoping antenna of the controller, that tells you that it's a ham radio frequency.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for the info, and I will, if I ever end up going out to one of the airfields near me, I will keep an eye out for that. And even if it is the old way of doing things, that just means they probably have a wealth of knowledge that I can pick their brains for. So thanks so much for the information. KF0QVM, back to net.
Excellent. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Yeah, hobby of mine that I really never got into, but I should have gotten into. But yeah, RC kits and planes and things like that. So really cool stuff. Really appreciate everyone's follow up on that and some more information on that. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. It's about 8:48 p.m. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? Please call now.
Kilo 4 Romeo November Yankee with a late check-in.
K4RNY. Ronnie, got you checked in. Thank you so much for checking in here. I'll throw it out to the group. This will be the last opportunity for any last-minute comments, questions, check-ins, and then we'll wrap things up here. Any other last-minute comments, questions, check-ins for this evening's Learning Net? Please call now.
A comment from QQV.
Yeah, QQV. David, go right ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the little discussion I'm having with Edgar over on YouTube, but when we finish the net, I'm going to hop on the general voice channel on the DRC Discord and do a screen share and run through a quick review of the schematic of the 991A, because I found it, and the VHF-UHF final is a pretty simple circuit, so it's pretty obvious either what failed or what might have been a loose connection.
All right, thanks. Yeah, I'm watching here this a little bit. I appreciate that. Yeah, Dave, K1, this is K1 DBC. I really do appreciate that. KF0QQV. Again, w0tx.org/discord. Again, w0tx.org/discord. DISCORD. It's our club chat room. Really do appreciate that. That would be awesome. I don't know if you have an ability to record that, but yeah, great to hear. Thank you so much for being able to do that after the net here, running through the schematics and what potential troubleshooting could have gone through for those finals there. So really do appreciate that.
If you give me a couple seconds, I should be able to stream it to YouTube.
Okay, not a problem. Yeah, we got a few minutes here. And if you don't mind, if you want to give out your YouTube channel, we can pass that out and people can watch that. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. I'll get back to you here in just a minute. All right, so yeah, great tie-in there. Again, if you've enjoyed this conversation and you'd like to continue it throughout the week, our Discord channel is a great opportunity to do so. Again, it's just a very basic chat room and a lot of great people. Nobody bites. Just a lot of great general conversations about ham radio and yeah, and this we have a voice channel in there. I don't know how often it gets utilized, but glad to hear David is going to be utilizing it this evening for some schematic overviews. So again, it's just a chat room. Again, w0tx.org/discord.
This is KF0QVM yet again for the second time. Do you know if anybody has made a Discord bot that allows a Discord voice channel to be broadcast over radio frequencies?
I am not too sure on that. I have enough audio channels and stuff going on at the moment in my life through this setup that I'm using now. But I know through maybe Zello or certain VoIP applications, there's probably an opportunity to do that. I don't know about the legality of transmitting other people's voices over the air if they're not licensed, things like that. So I don't know the specifics of it. I think the only thing other than licensed operators, I think we can play. There's one thing, but apart from that, it's mostly just check-ins. But great question. Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Well, maybe I'll look into that. I have a software engineering background, and I've been interested in Discord bots, and depending on whether or not it's legal, maybe I'll spin something up. KF0QVM back to net.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yeah, we have people checking in on our YouTube and in our Discord. So if we can get maybe a Discord audio going forward, we can try to integrate that with our stream and our nets here. So thank you so much. Yeah, don't hesitate to let us know. David, I don't know if you KF0QQV, if you're still out there, if you want to provide your YouTube stream information, we can pass that out and wrap things up.
I'm seeing if I can get one set up. It's been a long time since I had to do a live. I may not have enough subscribers to do a live from the desktop. But give me a second. I want to see if I can get OBS running and let me do it.
Okay, not a problem. And if needed, I'm certainly willing to keep this stream running here and join that audio channel and put it over our youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. So yeah, just let us know in a few minutes if you need. I think I am seeing your stream maybe in here, so I'll join that. Yeah, just let me know. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. We'll give him a few minutes here, and we may continue to stream on our YouTube channel. Dave's presentation here of the schematics. But with that, let's. I'll cover some club business, and then we'll start to wrap things up.
Sounds boring. Go ahead, Jerome.
Fair enough. This is K1 DVC Net Control. We appreciate everyone checking in here. W0tx.org for more information on our club. Our recent July roundtable was released. Really do appreciate everyone's support in that. And our field days and lots of other recent events up on there. So lots of information on that. We do also have a new way for membership sign-up options. We are trying to move forward with an option that completely kind of automates the way that we take your membership, and that puts kind of the onus on the members themselves to renew their membership. So if you are up for renewal within the next couple of months, you'll receive emails. But again, if you just go over to w0tx.org, there's a Join Us menu, and then a membership form. You fill out your information. We're trying to preload all of your existing information on there, so everything's already pre-filled out for you. It's the same information we've asked in the past: emails, phone numbers, names, call signs, etc. And then select the membership fee you would like to choose. So be on the lookout for that. We are always changing things or trying to keep things up to date. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. Let me see if I have anything else. Okay, I don't have much else. I can certainly, I can play, there's on our YouTube, I'll play maybe a 3-minute video just after our meeting here. A pretty cool YouTube channel and website I found here, broadcast, let me drop here for a minute.
Question.
W0TX repeater.
Sorry, broadcastpioneersofcolorado.com and their YouTube channel. So I'll play a quick few minute video on there. We had Jonathan SUM with a last minute question or comment. Go ahead.
Don't let your voice relax. You started an hour and a half ago. Don't go this long that often. So this is Kilo Echo 0 Uniform Mike. I'm going to retire in a few minutes off the radio.
Sounds good there. Yeah, we've done kind of these 90-minute sessions in the past, and it's just a little bit too much. But yeah, an hour is usually where we end. So no worries, not a problem. We can always adjust as needed. So this is K1 DBC Net Control. We had a total of 22 check-ins. Really appreciate everyone who's checked in here this evening. We have our monthly meeting next week, still to be announced, but more information on our club website, w0tx.org, when we have more information on that. And we have at 6 p.m. an Elmers session, just a general Q&A, very similar to this Learning Net, and then at 7 p.m. for our meeting. So with that, I guess, David, if you want to follow up, KF0QQV, if you want, I can keep our meeting stream going here, and I can unmute our Discord in a few minutes here and let you go. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Nothing heard just at the moment, but QQV, KF0QQV. I'll play a few minute video on our channel here, and if you want to broadcast your meeting there on Discord, I can certainly stream that, or if you want to broadcast it on your own, just let me know. So with that, this is K1 DBC Net Control, 732 all, and we'll talk to you all in the next couple of weeks. Have a good evening.
This is QQV. If you want to just grab the, I've got a screen share going on Discord already on my ident, so you should be able to capture my screen.
Yes, I'm seeing that here. See that here? All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. I'm just going to play a couple-minute video, David, and then I'll let you go here.
Time has run out. Stewart throwing it to the end zone. The ball's in the air. Caught! Colorado scores! The ball was tipped, and the Buffaloes came up with it.
Larry Zimmer made this call for the University of Colorado that is seen and heard to this day. Larry had pursued his dream of being a sportscaster since he was 10 years old. He did his first broadcast while in high school at WJBO in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where he grew up. He pursued a journalism degree at both LSU and the University of Missouri, graduating in 1957. He built a foundation for sportscasting at KFRU in Columbia, Missouri, doing high school games and Missouri Tigers basketball and baseball. In 1966, he moved to WAAM in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and became the voice of the Wolverines football, basketball, and hockey.
Good evening. The time is
In 1971,
9 p.m.
Zimmer moved to Denver and joined KOA Radio and was the sports anchor on KOA TV in the mid-70s. You still hear him on KOA Radio in 2009. At KOA, he joined another BPC Hall of Fame sportscaster, Bob Martin, and worked with Bob for 19 years as the color commentator on the Denver Broncos network.
Here is Larry Zimmer. Thank you, Bob.
When his friend and colleague Bob Martin died in 1990, he took over the Bronco play-by-play duties through 1996.
Here's the 4th down and 10 play. Elway's got the ball. John is back, runs up out of the pocket, lets the pass go. It's caught. Johnson to the 40, 35, 30, 25, and out of bounds at the 21-yard line of the Islanders.
He broadcast his 500th Bronco game during the 1995 season. His arrival in 1971 also began a long association with the University of Colorado, doing play-by-play of Colorado Buffaloes football.
He's going to try to run it back. He breaks it across the 45. He's at the 40. He's at the 30. 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, out of bounds at the Nebraska 4-yard line.
In 2004, he moved to the color commentary position, doing CU football, working with Mark Johnson. He did play-by-play for the CSU Rams and was the play-by-play voice of CU Buffalo basketball from 1985 to 2003.
Okay, we'll wrap things up there. Again, check out BPC Colorado YouTube channel. And let me see if I can get our Discord involved here. Let me see. All right, sorry about that. Can you guys hear me? Let me see. Cool. Thank you so much. Okay. I will bring up Dave's stream on our channel here, and whenever you're ready, Dave, go right ahead. Hey, Dave, can you hear me? I can hear you now. Yeah, go ahead, please. Gotcha. I do. I'm trying to full screen it completely, but I do have a good photo here. I do have a good stream of it, yeah.
Radio. And what we're looking at is up here.
You should be able to hear Dave now. Sorry about that.
Here is the block diagram of the PA. And if we look at it carefully, we will notice that basically, here's your antenna. If we follow the dotted lines a little bit back and forth, we'll come down here, comes down here. You've got a pair of antenna switches, one for VHF transmit and one for UHF transmit. These two switch from receive to transmit. And if you look out here, there's your UHF receive output going to the receiver, and here's your UHF receive output. But from both of those, we also come back through this path. And what do we have here? There is your final output transistors. They are fed through a set of high-pass filters coming from your driver back here, where you have your transmit signal coming in from the output drive for your UHF and VHF, goes through a couple preamps, a drive, goes through your filters to clean it up, then goes to your final. So what we're really interested in here is this Q4506 output final transistor. And if we a set of procedures on how to set this thing up, and it ends up that right here are your two output transistors for the final. And there's a set of drive and bias adjustments here, a couple pots. There's also a very interesting jumper here. When we get to the schematic, we'll see that this disables the power to your output. So you can work on the transmitter without having the final transistors connected. If that jumper was loose, you'd have a bad final output. So if we go down to where we actually get to the final board, about here, there's your VHF UHF power amplifier unit. Complete schematic, everything to know about it. And below that, they actually show you, here's the board, top view, and the board bottom view. So you know, other than some buried traces inside, where every component is, how everything, I must congratulate Yasu on giving a very good manual here. But if we follow this thing in, this is a pretty classic, your input VHF or UH signal comes in here on your TX in. Here that there are jumpers to disable. This is your power line up here. You can these jumpers should normally be jumped 1 to 2. You pull that jumper out, that stage will get no power. So if these things might be loose, that would be a real problem. If we continue on across, we've got a transformer here that generates a positive and negative output signal, which go to these 2 transistors. This is a classic push-pull output stage. One transistor going to your plus 13 volts, the other transistor going to ground. This will drive this output point between 13 volts and ground. That's your final output amplified thing. That will come out through your output stage, and that goes out to your antenna over here. So if they replaced your transistors, it would be these 2 transistors here. Assuming that was the actual final that was bad. If it was one of the pre's, it would be one of these 2. But I'm also somewhat suspicious because this jumper being loose or missing would block that one. This jumper loose or missing would block the final over here. If you had a very weak output, I would guess that you probably didn't have power here and you were just getting leak through RF from the driver passing through the output transistors and making it out to the antenna at 100 milliwatts or something. That would be my most likely guess of what was happening on your radio. And I don't know if anybody has any questions. Let me see if I can pop the chat up.
Hey, sorry, I wasn't watching too much there. We have.
Yep, I've got the chat up on the other screen. So no, Edgar hasn't asked any questions, but that is your output section. I found this online just Googling FT991A schematics. A couple Google hits. This manual is available for download for free. I would strongly recommend having a copy just so you have a good understanding of how all the pieces in the radio fit together. And then if you get into it more, this does have all of the alignment and setup procedures. The good news is it's got everything. The bad news is, it wants a pretty good list of test equipment because you are going to be working on RF and you need to see what frequencies you're outputting and how pure they are and all those type of things. You need to be able to generate audio in an RF and look at a spectrum analyzer and make sure your frequencies are on and audio distortion, all that stuff. But this basically is the shop manual for the radio. So pretty impressive.
Very cool. Thank
I
you.
can take questions. I can take questions from YouTube or from the repeater or text chat on Discord. I'm seeing all of them.
Sounds good. Cool. Yeah, Ed. We can't hear your voice, but we can see your chat here. So you should hear me and us over on YouTube. So if you have something, feel free to put it in chat or join the Discord here.
Yeah, depending on what your Discord is set up, Ed, you may need to right-click on the microphone symbol at the bottom left of your screen and change your input device to your microphone, and then you can probably talk.
Yeah, I don't see
microphone working.
We can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got a question, less technical, but to me, all these schematics are might as well be Chinese. I'm wondering what your background is and how you learned all this stuff, because it's really impressive that you can.
You don't want to know. I've been doing. Okay, so I work at United's Flight Training Center. I'm one of their senior flight simulation engineers. I do everything: hardware, software, mechanics, pneumatics, hydraulics, visual, motion, you name it. I've been working in the electronics industry as a technician and an engineer for, oh, let's see, I'm 70 now, so that would make it 50 years.
Wow. So you've got a wealth of information then.
I don't have to. Well, let's just put it this way. I was around ham radio in the late 70s, early 80s. I had a friend who was very active in the Los Angeles area, actually a couple friends. One was a commercial first and was a like engineer of record for a couple of good-sized radio stations. I got involved in Packet back then. Never got my license because back then I needed code and no code wasn't a thing. And sort of was very aware of it. I had been an ARRL member when I was in high school, so certainly aware of what was going on. To retire, I figured, I'm doing a lot of trips down to South Texas now for SpaceX launches, so I figured, it might be have a radio in the car, so I went out and tried the technician test online, got a 97% on the trial test, said, okay, tomorrow I'm taking it, just went online and had PARC do the online test at like 6 in the morning, and then headed down to Texas the next day, and my license application got hung up somewhere, so I didn't get it for about a week and a half.
Wow.
There I am.
That is amazing. It took me probably a full week to get up to that level on the online technician tests. But you're going in my book as one of the Elmers. I'm going to message you if I have any questions.
But I
appreciate the
do.
input.
I mean, I'm the senior network engineer for the simulators. I do a lot of coding, so I do a little bit of everything. I've already set up. I've got a hotspot here on a couple of different systems, and just put up just picked up. I was just at HRO today to pick up a good multi-band outdoor antenna, which right now is sitting in my living room, which I'm talking over, but I need to get it up on a mast this weekend, and probably study my general the next week or so, and I'll probably have my general before the end of the month. In fact, I might even have my extra.
Very cool. That is awesome. Well, I've got a background in software as well. Right now, I work in cybersecurity for a company called Casaba Security. They're based in Seattle, Washington, which is where I'm from. But I've since moved out to Colorado and found that radio tickles the same part of my brain as programming does, so I'm getting pretty involved. But it's really cool to hear your stories and background, and thanks for being willing to share your knowledge with us. I appreciate it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I figured that was a simple enough schematic. You almost don't need to know how it works. You can basically just sort of follow the lines through the transistors and the block diagram. So it was pretty simple to ignore 90% of the components and go, here's a transistor that connects to a transistor that connects to two transistors that connect to the antenna. Okay, that's the amplifier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which exactly matches the boxes on the block diagram from the first picture. So it's like, okay, if your final is bad, it's those four transistors or the power.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I was off and I don't know where I was. I think I was still watching Ron's feed and I was just on the wrong screen. I was listening to you the whole time.
Well, I can run back over if anybody wants to look at it. Like I say, it's a really.
So my question is it possible that everybody was right? In other words, I'm not on HF. I mean, is it possible that Yaesu was only testing HF and HF wasn't blown? I was only on VHF, UHF, and UHF was blown?
It's two completely separate power amplifiers, so it is very conceivable. I am also somewhat suspicious. The fact that the radio was shipped back and forth to a service center meant it was bounced around and it went through FedEx or UPS or however it was shipped. And we know how gentle them and the airlines are. If there was a loose connection, either a bad solder joint or a jumper that wasn't firmly seated, That could explain things coming and going with, as we call it in the trade, percussive maintenance.
I mean, this is really great. I mean, so it's possible everybody was right, and it's nothing I would have ever figured out on my own. It just took this crazy journey.
Not without having access to the schematics and at least a minor amount of test equipment. With the schematics, probably I've got a couple scopes, but a meter and a scope and a couple of judicious key downs, and I could probably tell you where the signal was disappearing.
Is it safe to assume that, okay, I went down this, it sounds like it is working now, like there's no hidden gremlin that I still have yet to figure out?
The only thing I'd be suspicious of, and I suspect if it was a bad solder joint when they replaced the transistors, and I'm a little. I could say I could be playing dirty and say they didn't actually replace them. They found a bad solder joint and resoldered it and said they replaced them. Because I've never seen technicians say they replaced something when they actually found a manufacturing error. But my guess is they actually did find something. Whether they want to admit that it was a manufacturing defect or a failed component, and yeah, you're probably good to go.
That's what I suspected, because when I first got the email, the very last email, all it said was, the radio is repaired, we're sending it back.
Yeah.
And they left it at that, and I thought, whoa, wait a minute. Did you find anything? And that's when they gave me that cryptic little.
Well, unless
rephrase.
you're a an advanced tech, in which case you'd probably be looking at the radio yourself because you go find this manual. That's probably a good enough description, given that the final amplifier is only like 4 transistors. If they replace the output transistors, it should be that push-pull pair. That's pretty much all you need to know. The rest of the circuit's all passives, so there's really nothing else. There's like 4 transistors that switch RF receive to transmit, so you don't blow the receiver up when you're transmitting, and the rest of it's just that chain of 4 transistors that amplifies the drive stage into the output stage.
So what symptom would I look for if I'm still suspicious that it didn't all get fixed?
Or
should I just forget about that?
If you want to see if they actually did something, you could probably pull the covers off and find where this board is and look where those transistors are. There would probably be signs of fresh solder versus machine solder if they replaced a transistor. Because these are all surface mount transistors. So
they went through a wave solder machine.
Well, it went through a wave solder machine for manufacturing. If they replaced parts, it probably was done on a bench.
Right.
So you would expect to see the soldering would look slightly different on a repaired part. Not a lot, but there might be some sign that it had been touched.
It wouldn't look like all the other components, which would have been nice and uniform.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to open it up, but this is, I mean, it's all making sense what you're saying. But I've never, obviously this is my first radio like this, so I never would have figured this out on my own.
Yeah, see, I've been fixing things down to the component level for 50 years. My very first job in electronics when I dropped out of college was as a bench tech, repairing customer parts and manufacturing fallout for an electronics component time delay relay maker. So I mean, literally, I was sitting on a bench fixing broken parts.
So if a month down the road I still have question marks, I'm calling you about that.
Reach out. Yep.
But thank you so much for your time. I never would have gone down this road without this net. So
yeah. Well, I ran into a bunch of the people at Field Day. I was out there, so I helped set up Field Day, and then I took off and went over to the Adams Arapahoe Aries site for the afternoon, and then came back on Saturday evening for a little while, and then Sunday I had sort of doing what I'm doing right now, sort of active with a bunch of the space following people following Starship down in Texas, and so I'm involved with a whole bunch of different Discords and content creators.
It sounds like on the net everybody could hear me fine, so
Yep, you were coming through loud and clear. You sounded great.
it probably is fixed. My best guess is it's fixed.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I if it was anything, it was either a bad transistor or you had a mechanical intermittent, in which case the only way to know if it's fixed is pick it up 6 inches and drop it on the bench half a dozen times and see if it keeps working.
I don't think I'll do that, but I get what you're saying. It's not going to manifest again unless I move it somewhere and it shakes loose again.
Yeah, and even moving it's less likely to cause a problem. It's more likely jarring it. But if it's in a box, and it's going through FedEx or UPS, it's going through the sort, so it's rolling down conveyors and chutes and things, so it's going to get jarred.
I've got most of 3 years of the warranty left, so 2 3/4 years left on it. Hopefully, if it's something else, I'll find it out in the next.
Yeah, I think you're in good shape.
What a baptism by fire for my first base station radio. What a ridiculous episode to have to contend with. Seems like if it could go.
Yeah, I figure I got a month or two, and then it's time for me to pick up a multi-bander for my own, because right now I've just got a UHF VHF dual bander, and given I'm only a tech right now, not much lower frequencies I can play with, so I figured I might as well wait a couple weeks, bump the license up to at least a general, and then I can play everywhere.
And while you're doing that, I'll be putting a wire up in a tree. So I
don't have any good trees, so I think I'm probably going to end up sticking a multi-band vertical up where I'm at. Unfortunately, I've got a very blocked view of much of the U.S. because I'm on Floyd Hill, and I'm surrounded on two sides by granite.
A lot of construction right about now, east on I-70.
Yeah, so the US 40 roundabouts are almost done. The main 70 project on Floyd Hill's got a year and a half or 2 years to go, because it's going to become like Hidden Lake. It's going to be a whole bunch of elevated. It's going to be an elevated flyover for the eastbound lane. I think it's eastbound lane.
Good luck with that.
Well, fortunately, that's all west. That's all west of me, so it doesn't affect me going in Denver.
Yeah, I lived in Winter Park for a while, so I dealt with a few cone zones in there for a while myself.
Yeah, 70 is going to be a mess for this winter. I can already see it.
All right, well, it's late. I appreciate everybody's time. I don't know who else is still on here, but I appreciate all your help.
Well, I figured this is an easy way, because I do a lot of this type of screen share stuff and video shares on Discord, so I'm real familiar with it.
Obviously, I was fiddling around trying to get you to hear me.
Well, I don't want to tell you how many Discords I'm on right now, because it's ridiculous. I think I'm close to 30.
Thank you so much. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and if you want to give us a presentation, there's always opportunities for that. You seem to be pretty keen to do that, so we'd love to hear out there if you want. So.
Well, it just depends on what comes up. I mean, I tend to do stuff pretty ad hoc because I never know what's of interest.
Yeah.
I've spent the last two and a half years analyzing aerial and ground photos of Starbase on a daily and weekly basis. So that's what I've been doing when I ain't been trying to study for licenses.
Nice, very cool. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I got this recorded, so yeah, you can watch it back. But if you guys don't mind, I'll probably drop here for the evening. But yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. Yep. I think we covered. I just figured it was a quick way. Discord screen share works so well for doing things like this, and it just you've got the chat right there, you've got the screen share, and I can add audio to it if I need to.
Yeah, it's my first time sharing that, so I was fumbling around with some audio issues on that. So I do apologize, but I got everything pretty much. So thank you, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm used to very. At this point, we've got very sophisticated systems where we have multiple commentators. on Discord being fed to a producer who's running OBS and doing lower thirds and pulling questions from chat and putting on top of that. And then that whole thing goes to YouTube for any of 3 or 4 different channels. So I'm familiar with how they all work, but they're all pretty similar. But we may be looking at, 4 or 5 live cams, 3 or 4 sets of a couple hundred aerial and ground photos every week. So I mean, it's quite the
operation, yeah.
Yeah, quite the. But you learn a lot of tricks about it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks again. I'll drop. You guys can continue on here, but thanks again. You guys take care.
I think I'm gonna. I don't have anything else unless Edgar's got more questions, but I was going to.
No, I mean, I will. You could. I mean, my head's spinning with all this information. I will. I think it's working, and if it's not, I'll have more learning to do, and you'll hear about it on the net.
Yep. Well, like I say,